Money. Yusuf ibn Jafar al-Amudi used to take sums of money, sometimes very large ones, from those who came to study with him. A distinguished legist visiting him once said, "I am enchanted and impressed by your teachings, and I am sure that you are directing your disciples in a proper manner. But it is not in accordance with tradition to take money for knowledge. Besides, the action is open to misinterpretation." Al-Amudi said, "I have never sold any knowledge. There is no money on earth sufficient to pay for it. As for misinterpretation, the abstaining from taking money will not prevent it, for it will find some other object. Rather should you know that a man who takes money may be greedy for money, or he may not. But a man who takes nothing at all is under the gravest suspicion of robbing the disciple of his soul. People who say, 'I take nothing,' may be found to take away the volition of their victim." As swords were designed to kill, they did well to make them tongue-shaped. Anwar-e Suhaili. Digestion. Ibn Durrani wrote books on medicine, religion, astronomy, mathematics, and the qualities of plants. His detractors claimed that he wrote on far too many things to have profound knowledge. They added that even if he did know all these subjects, he should teach only one of them in order to be effective. "People become respected and authoritative," they said, "by specializing and becoming known for one thing." A visitor queried Ibn Durrani about this. Ibn Durrani said, "Even a bee is known for at least two things, honey and the sting. But here is an illustration. Take this peach. If you want one thing from it, you may choose taste, color, texture, coolness. But if you are seeking one thing in that way, you do not want a peach. Only a fool would approach a peach and say, 'It has far too many things for me. Why do peaches not have flavor alone?' Before the antidote arrives from Iraq, the man with snakebite will be dead." Sadi. Target. A dervish went to a Sufi master and said, "Noble guide, I wish to learn from you whatever I can communicate to others." The Sufi told him to go into the garden and to feed birds and animals until they came to him whenever he appeared. The dervish did this for 3 years. At the end of this time he went back to the Sufi and said, "The birds and animals come to me whenever I show myself to them." The Sufi said, "Do you still want to learn in order to impart to others?" The dervish answered, "I have realized that I must learn whatever I can learn, and not try to learn for a purpose until I know the value of the purpose." The Sufi said, "Now you can start to learn. Unless your attention had been fixed upon the birds and animals, your real mind would not have been able to solve this problem of understanding. Attention demands an object, as an arrow demands a target. But to have an arrow in a target all the time, or to have all targets full of arrows, or to have every bowman shooting at once, or to have people thinking that shooting is necessary when they have other things which they can do and be, is evidence of stupidity and a sure road to oblivion." The food of the peacock. A Sufi sage was asked by a disciple about the behavior of a certain dervish. Why did he, when he was alive, defend his reputation so strongly? Surely the wise are unconcerned about personal matters. He did so, said the Sufi, because he wanted to make people think, these people are redoubtable adversaries. It is not best to cross swords with them. But why should he need to gain this repute if he was humble? he did so for the purpose of preventing others in the future from oppression. And that is exactly what happened. Many vulnerable people were preserved because oppressors and destructive thinkers feared to attack them without good cause, in case they suddenly showed the strength and resolution of the dervish of whom we speak. And because he could not explain this without revealing the plan, he was assumed to be vain, self-willed, and aggressive. That is so. But he had no choice. He had a chance to do good for those who were to come after him, and he had to take this opportunity, whether it incurred reproach, whether it was understood or not. Beware of making facile interpretations of the lives and sayings of the Sufis. This matter is so deep that it is really only understood by those who have arrived. Remember the saying, "If you have the stomach of an ox, do not speak of eating the food of a peacock." The Perfect Man. A disciple studied under a Sufi for several months. One day he said, "Master, you are the greatest man in the world, and yet comparatively unknown. I feel that it is my duty to travel throughout the climes and tell people of your greatness. How can it be that the infinitely perfected man shall remain unknown?" The master said, "If I were to say that I were the infinitely perfected man, or allow anyone else to say it, you would know that I was not such a man. To feel that you must represent your teacher as the greatest man on earth is a sign of your own arrogance." The candle burned the moth, but soon it will vanish in its own fat. Anwar-e Suhaili. Yes, the world is an illusion, but truth is always being shown there. Subhani. Now begin. Alami said, "I have said, read no books, and nobody reads any. But when I said that, I was saying it to an audience. Why are the instructions followed by some other audience?" Aswad the Murid said, "What book, then, shall I study?" Alami told him to read the Alamite Contemplations. When Aswad returned, Alami at once said to him, "Have you read the Contemplations?" "Yes," said Aswad. "What were my instructions to you on this matter?" "To read the book entitled Alamite Contemplations." "Have you read the book?" "I have read the Contemplations." "But I can tell you that you have not read the whole book." "I have not read the preface nor the notes, because they did not seem to me to be the Contemplations." "Perhaps you would now like to begin to follow your instructions," said Alami. The bowl is warmer than the soup. Proverb. 1,000 Dinars. Junaid gave a discourse which was heard by a certain wealthy young man. This youth was so impressed that he went home and gave all he owned to the needy, except for 1,000 dinars. Taking this money, he went back to Junaid and offered it to him. Junaid said, "Would you seek to enmesh me in the things of the world?" So the youth took the money up and went to a riverbank. Here he threw the coins one by one into the water. When he returned to Junaid to become a disciple, the master said, "Doing something which you could do in one action in 1,000 actions instead shows that you cannot become a companion of mine. Why did you not throw them all away at once?" He has been a worker who has finished the job. Proverb. Look at the grain of pepper and at the size of the sneeze. Proverb. The Ordeals. Hadrat Omar, son of Osman of Mecca, wrote to Junaid, Shibli and Hariri thus, Such is the terror of the way of the Spirit that none should embark upon this journey unless he is able to ford 2,000 roaring cataracts and to climb 2,000 mountains belching fire. A man who is unprepared for such ordeals should abstain from calling himself a seeker. Junaid said, I have passed through but one of these ordeals. Harari said, I have made only the first faltering steps. Shibli said, I have not seen even an indication of such terrors. Then a voice from beyond called out, Those who regard such ordeals as terrors, and who do not see them as necessary advantages, those who can dwell upon their own sufferings instead of passing through them, they are not Sufis, but something else. Not people of spirit, but people of sensation. They belong to the world, and imagine that worldly feelings are sublime ones. When tomorrow comes, think tomorrow's thoughts. Proverb. Men and Camels. Bahuddin Naqshband was sitting on his terrace one day when a large group of would-be disciples arrived. Their leader said, We have come to seek enrollment in the teaching and to sit at the feet of the Master. May this intention find acceptance. Bahuddin said, Let everyone pass before me and say no word. The disciples were paraded before him. The Master then said, The 5th, 18th, and 34th are acceptable for the way. The leader of the disciples asked, May one inquire as to which characteristics indicate acceptability? Bahuddin said, What is your vocation in life? The man replied that he was a camel breeder. Then you should know the quality and potentiality of camels by seeing them pass before you. Why do you not use your own experience to tell you that a similar function might be possible to a spiritual man, working in his own sphere? Bats come out when the sun has set. Proverb. Illustrative Exclamations. Hadrat Abul Hassan Khirkhani said, My shortcomings have been many, and comparatively my invocations have been too few. A man who wanted to become a Sufi went to another master and asked him, What is the meaning of such a remark? If Abul Hassan, the greatest of the saints, can say at his age that he has not done enough in one way, and has done too much in another, what hope is there for anyone who wants to learn and is of lesser rank? The sage answered, O one of bright prospects, you will not be able to enter the ranks of the elect for a long time, not because you lack the abilities of Abul Hassan, but because you have not yet noticed that he is not referring to himself, but is acting as a mirror for your own inward self. A snake gets through the hole when it has straightened itself. Proverb. Success in Discipleship. Hamlat Posh said, I have never refused to make anyone a disciple, but most people are in reality, if not in appearance, incapable of benefiting from the phase of discipleship, so that they exclude themselves in fact from its operation. Discipleship is a matter of method, not potentiality. All mankind may have the makings of a higher man. Very few have learned how to approach the problem. Being a disciple is being able to learn, not wanting to learn alone. Nobody knows how to learn as a natural capacity. He must be given the ability. Desire to learn is not the basis for learning, but sincerity is. The basis of sincerity is straightforwardness and a liking for balance. To want to do more than you are able, and not to accept that you are not to be answered at certain times. That is failure in discipleship. You cannot hit 2 targets with 1 arrow. Proverb.